Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Look here. David at the penitentiary. We're at the same joint at this particular time, right? And he's come back to talk to me, and I'm telling him, look, you got to get through to him some kind of way. You got to get through to your son, because if you don't get through to your son, you're finna lose him. He going to end up in here with you. And worse, he might end up in the ground with his brother. You got to get through to him, man. You got to reach him. So he's like, I done talked to everybody I know to talk to. I said, man, listen to me. You got to talk to the big homie, man, that's in here with you. Now, I know you one of the big homies, but you got to talk to them. You got to get somebody that can influence that out there. Somebody that can make that call. At the minimum, you need to delay it. Don't let them do that off the top, because if they go do it off the top, it's going to be trouble either way. But if you get them to delay it, you can find a way to talk him out of it. The longer you can delay it, the more chance you have of putting it off. You feel what I'm saying? That it don't happen. But let me tell you something. It's what I told him, y'all. It's what I told him. I said, now you know, when you do this, you're going to have to walk away. Because you're going to have a lot of people, man, trying to play you. But see, because this lifestyle is unforgiving in that. They're going to be looking at you like you wouldn't go to bat for your son. How you going to go to bat for me? That's the reality of this. So he looked at me, he's like, man, I didn't think about all that. And I asked him, I said, what's more important to you? What's more important to you, man? Your son? Or this? Come on now. Now keep in mind, y'all, to me the choice is clear. His son. Montrez and Boo, they wasn't a part of this lifestyle at this particular time. So I'm thinking, I don't have to make a hard decision like that. But if I had to, it would have been my son's. Simple as that. Period. It wouldn't have been an issue at all for me. And I'm just grateful that I didn't have to go down that road. But I'm looking at him and he's confused and conflicted. And I want y'all to understand something. I know y'all will say that's an easy choice, but it's really hard for a person that has committed their whole life to all of it and then convinced that his own sons to do the same thing. You want to know why it's a hard decision? Because you have to accept that everything that you've done, even the decision that you made that cost your son his life, was wrong. And now you done wasted all of these years, and you done wasted your own son's life. And that burden is a heavy burden to bear. It's a lot to carry. And I know a lot of people say, well, you shouldn't have been in that lifestyle in the first place. You are absolutely right. But that ain't the reality. He was a part of it. And his sons became a part of it because of him. I need people to really understand something, man. We got to get away from this talking about you shouldn't have done this or you shouldn't have done that. And that's why you're suffering like this. We need to be more compassionate and more empathetic and speak to the person's hurt and pain versus speaking to the consequences of the decisions that they made. You understand? That's real, y'all. Because we can all go back and forth and talk about, well, you did this, well, you did that. One is more serious than the other. One is no serious than the other. All of this and that, and you mix up this gumbo, and it's a mess. It's a mess. We all keep judging each other for this, that, and the third. Come on now. We all make bad decisions. And nobody wants to be judged on the bad decisions that they made that cost somebody a lot. Or a little, for that matter. We don't want to be judged like that. How would you like to live your life being judged every day for the worst decision that you've ever made? Whatever that may be, cheating on your husband or your wife, committing a crime. What if you got a nice job wherever you're working at now, you listening to this, you got a nice job, but you stole something one day and you got away with it, right? And it was almost like somebody found out about it and they were on the verge of telling everybody. How would you be feeling if everybody knew that you stole something from a department store years ago, and they were bringing it back up, and they were going to ruin the reputation that you've built. And you had to live with that for the rest of your life. People looking at you crazy, thinking that you're somebody that can't be trusted. It would be hard for you. And that's what it's like when you're a part of this lifestyle. You get wrapped up in the shame and the guilt of it, and you start to believe that you don't deserve the opportunities that are put forward. You start to think that you don't deserve to be forgiven. You start to feel judged everywhere you look and you turn, and then you start to act on that. People live up to the expectations that you have of them, y'all. We all do. Consciously, subconsciously, we live up to the expectations that people have of us. Period. So now he was grappling with, I'm talking about David, he's grappling with living up to the expectations that the hood got for him. How does he deal with that? He just wants to save his son's life. That's all he's trying to do right now. And he's doing it in a moment when he's hurting the most because he's lost a son. So he goes to talk to the big homie. And the big homie embraces him and says what he says to him. And he tells him, he said, man, we got you. Whatever you need, we got you. And David looks at him and he tells me, he said, man, what I need, man, is for my son to be okay. He said, now this is what the big homie said now. He said, so you don't want him to go with, he said, if you don't want him to go, he won't go, but we're going to go take care of this for you, right? And David looked at him and he paused for a second and he said, man, I don't want you to do nothing. So the big homie looked at him. Then the big homie walked over to the door, the cell door, and he looked out to make sure there wasn't nobody out there. And he told him, he said, man, sit down, cuz. So David sat down, the big homie sat down, and then, I don't know what it was. All pretense went out the window. All pretense went out the window. This ain't the stuff you're going to see on TV. You're going to only hear it on my show. You're going to only hear it on Doing Time with Joe. The big homie told him, he said, look, I feel you. I understand where you're coming from. But if you don't do this, you're going to have to go. Not because I want you to. He said, because you're one of the realists. He said, but the way the lifestyle is structured, we can't show no weakness. And if we don't do something about this, they're going to think we weak. And David looked back at him. He said, no, they won't. You think that they'll think that we're weak, but we're not weak. We're not weak. He said, I'm the one that lost my son. And what I'm saying is that this is wrong. And then that's when the big homie bounced back and said, he said, exactly. You're saying that this lifestyle is wrong. And there's too many of us that think that it's still the way to go. And I want y'all to hear what I'm saying here. I want you to hear what I'm saying. If you do the right thing, if David does the right thing, let the authorities handle it and all of this kind of old stuff. This is his son. He'll be sending a message to the organization that the organization is wrong for the way they conduct business. This lifestyle that he chose for himself and his sons is about violence. It's about pain. It's about all of that. And if you say that this is not what you want, if you don't respond, pain with pain, violence with violence, then what are you saying, homie? What you saying, cuz? And David looked at him, real thoughtful like. Now I'm talking about they eye to eye. You gotta remember, both of these the big homies. Ain't now one of them weak. So that's not the issue. This is a man-to-man talk, not crip-to-crip, okay? And he looked at him, David looked at him. He said, man, ain't nothing weak about me. Ain't nothing weak about my son. And wasn't nothing weak about my other son. I just want my son to live. The big homie stood up. He said, man, I feel you. I feel you. He said, but I'm going to make the call, man. And I'm going to tell him to stand down. I'm going to tell him to stand down, but you got a choice to make. Because I can't keep him off for this forever. It's because some of the homies, they want to take care of this because they had a lot of love for your brother, for your son and his brother. And they don't want to see this pain that you feeling go unanswered. And David told him, he said, but what you don't understand, if you go out and do something and my son, he goes out and does it and something else happens, I'm going to feel more pain. Even if he gets away with it, I'm going to feel more pain because they're going to know he did. They're going to come after him. And it don't matter whether they know or not, it's wrong. And he said, when did you all of a sudden get to the point where all of this is wrong? And David looked at him and he kind of laughed. You know, he like, he said, man, I've been knowing it was wrong, but it was benefiting me. Now, didn't I just tell you that you was going to hear something on this show that you're not going to hear anywhere else? Think about what it just said. David said he been knowing it was wrong, but he was benefiting from it. Come on now. Benefiting from evil. That's the lifestyle. That's the lifestyle, y'all. So when you say that you about this life and you own all of this and all of that and you want to do all of this and that and you running around and you robbing and you hurting people and you doing all of these types of things because you say you about this life, think about what it is that you're saying you about. And then accept that when people that are afraid of you, accept that when people that are tired of you, accept that people that want their kids to be safe and play in the front yard without fear of being hurt, accept that they say enough is enough. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.